and gents, please put your hands together, Mr. James Whitham. Thank you. James, first of all, obviously good to have you here at the show. I know, before I start waffling on about your racing and various different things, but you're big into your collection. These are 2 bikes out of your collection. I don't think you really know how many bikes you've got now, do you?
No, not exactly. I've got somewhere between 10 and 30. I've got about 28, I think. But like always, I've got built-up bikes. I've got things waiting to be restored, bits of bikes that probably make half a bike, and so probably, if you added everything, about 28 or 9 bikes, I think.
And for sure, obviously you restore all of your own bikes and look after them. Is it purely to ride, to look at, there's so many
Ride them all.
Ride everyone.
Ride them all, yeah. And if you look at this, if you look at that one that I've just finished, just before Christmas, and I'm quite happy with the job I've done. The chrome is a little bit too good because it's the original stuff re-chromed, and the modern chrome tends to be a bit nicer than the Japanese cheap stuff was originally. And I will ride that one, but that hasn't been ridden yet. That one, however, I finished that maybe summertime, and I've had that at a couple of my training days, and I've ridden that on track. I've had it at Cadwell Parade in it, and I will ride them. And if you look at it, there's little bits of dings on it. The wheels have been dinged where I've changed tyres, so I don't want to do anything that's that mint that I don't want to ride it again. So I ride them all, and I'll have a go. I'm not pottering on it. I'll have a lash on it.
So do you frequent all of the old classic shows at Stafford's? Obviously this one, various different, to find all your bits and bobs. What one?
Many as I can. To be quite honest, I'm not a proper restorer in that I never walk around auto jumbles that much. I don't go to that many shows. But most of the bikes I do up, you can still buy brand new parts. eBay and even Suzuki now started doing their own spares, Suzuki vintage. If you wanted to build one of them, you can pretty much buy brand new bits and build one. I don't like doing that, but it is good to know that if you can't make a part right, you can get what you need brand new. So I'm a bit of a cheater, really.
And what sort of thing floats Whitham's boat? As in bike-wise, is it sentimental things you owned in the past? Is it stuff you've raced, or is there something in your head that you're desperate to buy if money was no object? Yeah, money no object. My stuff would be RG500 maybe. I'd like a TZ750, but then for me now just a little bit kind of out of reach. A good TZ750 is 35-40 grand. A good RG's same money, 35 grand. So they're just a little bit sort of beyond what I'm prepared to pay at the minute. I try and buy things that I think are cheap and is going to go up. So you look at a list of what you can get now. I reckon the next things to go up after your two-strokes are always good news. But I think the next things to go are going to be stuff like early blades, early R1s, this sort of thing. I'd love a GSXR 750 slab sider because I raced one in '87. But I try and pick them a little bit. But also I've got things, I'm just on with a TY80 at the minute, and the reason that's sentimental because I had one as a kid, as a lot of us did, an XR80 or XR75 or TY was your ubiquitous kids bike that your dad bought you, and so I've got one of them, and that's one that I really shouldn't have bought. I did 200 quid for the bike, I stripped it, I wrote a list of what I needed, I drank a full bottle of Rioja, and I sat down with an iPad and ordered 500 quid for spares. So it's going to be the world's most expensive TY80. It's going to stand me in it about 2.5 grand, and it'll be worth 600 quid. But yeah, various reasons. But the bottom line is I like motorbikes and I like to run them, I like to fire them up. This one, it's got fuel in it. If you took the carb covers off and give us a pull with that back wheel, that'd go. Not a problem. And sometimes if I'm having a bad day, I don't know if anybody else does this or whether I should be admitting to this or not, but if I'm having a bad day, I'll go into the garage, I'll pull a bike out and it'll typically be a two-stroke. I'll fire it up, I'll smell the smoke and it'll make me smile. So, I like the bike. You obviously, been retired from racing quite some time now. Surprised me, obviously doing a bit of homework on you before the show, and even though it feels like three or 5 years ago, it's quite some time. but you're probably busier now than when you were full-time racing, in all fairness, doing various different things.
Yeah, and yet what you do when you race, you know full well. You kid yourself when you race. You think, I'm racing motorbikes for a living. It's the most difficult job in the world. Oh, you're telling your mates how much pressure you've got, and you can't understand how difficult it is. It's a 24-hour-a-day job. Bollocks. When you look back, I had the easiest job in the world. I was doing something I loved doing. I was reasonably good at it. I didn't really have to try that hard. I trained a little bit like everybody else, but I never felt it was a difficult job for me to do. Now, the real world is a big scary place. You've got to go and earn a living and everything. It's terrible, really. So yeah, I've got all sorts of stuff I do, but you're dead right. I'm busier now than what I've been ever, really. But good busy, really good busy.
You know, when I think the first British championship race I went to watch, you was riding Suzuki's. There was you, yourself, Ron Aslam was on the Norton, and JR was on the Kawasaki's, and you always, even from that point, that was the first time I saw you race, but you was a proper tryer. A little bit of a crasher, because you was trying so hard. But that seemed to be the way forward in those days. It seems to have changed so much since then.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm honest, when I look back at my career, I'm not one of these people who's going to sit in. I made a bit of a pact with myself towards the end of my career. I refuse to be the old bloke in the corner of the pub who tells you constantly how good he could have been. I'm not going to be that bloke. I actually think I had a good crack at racing. I did probably as well as what I could have done. I don't look at Cal Fogarty, who was one of my good mates, and think I could have beat you if I'd have had that bike. I don't think that. I think he was better than me. And I think I had a really good crack at what I did. I do, however, look back and think I did crash a bit, but in my mind, I only crashed because I didn't have the best bike at times. And when I did have good bikes, I had good seasons and didn't crash. Like, here on the Fast Release Yamaha, I probably had the best bike on the track and I didn't crash it hardly at all. When I had some of the Suzukis I had before that, I felt I tried that hard that I was always going to crash a bit because the bike probably wasn't the best thing on track. But I never look back and I never think that I didn't do myself justice. I think I did as well as I could have done, and a better rider probably would have done better on the same bikes, and a worse rider wouldn't. It's a bit different these days. I don't know how many people out there, probably not many, have modern 1 litre sports bikes, but I ride them all the time, so they're still in the training. As you do testing, you do instructing, and I'll tell you, the most powerful bike I raced was probably the factory Suzuki World Superbike at 750cc, I remember Falls then, and that probably had 160 horse, which is about probably the same as the 3-cylinder Kenny Roberts bike I raced. Now everybody's got, if you ain't got 180 horse with your road bike, your 1 litre road bike, your Blade or your BMW, it sounds like not a lot of power. But you take a modern sports bike, a 1 litre sports bike to Cadwell, that is a frightening place. It's not, it ain't the same. These lads now, it's a different kettle of fish to what we had. I remember bottom straight at Cadwell, you got about 5 seconds rest. Oh, you could relax like that. Right, corner coming, right, I'll grip on now. Not now. Things trying to kill you the whole way down the straight. I can't imagine what it's like on a proper superbike.
For next year, I'm team manager now for a BSD team who's just been released yesterday.
Don't ride them.
No. But I'm talking to some overseas riders that have not raced on the UK circuit, it's only your Siltons and your Doningtons, and they're all telling me how they can win and they're happy to come straight away, never ridden the tracks. And I've had some teammates, as you have, Pete Goddard, Simon Crafers, Alex Gramini, some big names at World Championship, and very fast riders. But they all shit themselves when they come to the UK on 1000cc superbikes for sure, because there's just no time to rest. There's no let up. For instance, for Uxton, turn 1, you're probably 3rd or 4th gear turn when I cross. It's so fast, you've got 6 foot of run off.
Yeah.
It's mental, it really is. And hats off. And that's not being disrespectful to those guys, it's quite natural to be on the back foot.
The point is this, when we started racing, I started racing in 1983 when I was 16, just gone 16, and you got a Cadwell on a 125 Honda, it's not such a scary place, even in those days. Oldham Park, Cadwell, lots of places, a lot less run off, Mallory. And you get used to that and you grow up with it. So by the time you get to World Championship, you're kind of used to circuits getting better every year because you're doing different, more international circuits. I remember in 97, I had a teammate on a factory superbike, proper Japanese team, run by the Harris brothers, and I had a teammate called Mike Hale, right? The guy's a Texan. He spent all his life on mega circuits, big Grand Prix circuits. And we got a test session planned, just us, private test at Mallory Park, right? And I knew Mallory because I've been there all my life. I love Mallory, I love Cadwell, love Oldham. And I remember he'd stopped at my house and we were meeting the team at Mallory, and I drove him down there. You know, you drive into Mallory, you drive in at the airport, don't you? You drive through the gate and that takes you onto the track. You drive up out the track to get to the paddock is what I'm saying. So I thought, well, I'll just give him a lap. And as we set off from the airport, I went round the normal way of the track, went round Gerrard's, and he went, tell me this isn't the track. I went, oh yeah, he went, oh bollocks. He couldn't handle it. He couldn't handle it. You see, well, if you crash, that'll be a telephone bid coming through from 87 now. And he said I couldn't go round Gerrard's without going, there's a wall there. But I never had a problem. It's what you brought up with. I mean, and generally circuits are getting safer, generally. But they have to do, because now, you think of this, one thing that's happened in the last few years in Grand Prix riders, you know, it's changing. The Grand Prix are changing from Bridgestones to Michelin's, right? So Michelin's are doing all the development work, and they're getting tyres that they want to be better than the Bridgestones, because nobody wants to say, well, this year they're going 2 seconds slower. That must be the tyres. Michelin's are rubbish. So they don't want that bad press. So Michelin's are trying hard to give them tyres. That's going to give them more lean angle, more side grip, more corner speed. And the problem is, if you go 5 miles an hour quicker around the corner, you need another 6 feet or 8 feet or 10 feet or whatever the equation is of runoff. So the more grip you get, the more circuits you kind of outgrow, and that's even Grand Prix now. The chances are, if you crash in some spots, you could hit a barrier, which is obviously the bad thing, you know. Which, if you brought up in Britain, you're always going to hit a barrier. You fall off a Cadwell, chances are you're going to hit some hard. So you ride accordingly, although we never did. Oliver's Mount is, if you've never been, you've got to go. I mean, we sort of halfway up north and on the right side of the country, so if you get a chance, Oliver's Mount, unbelievable. It's no wider than this stage, it's about 6 feet wide, it's fast in places, and if you fall down, it's not good.
You can go right around it on your road bike during the week, no problem, just go up and cruise around.
But lovely place. In fact, worse than that, is a place, anybody ever heard of a place called Aberdare Park? Aberdare in Wales. Fantastic and crap at the same time, that place. It's got a crown on the road that's so, what you're in is a Victorian municipal park, aren't you? So what you've got is it's an access road, it's where you walk, it's where people walk dogs. And it's tarmac and it's got a big crown, it's got them little gutters at the side made out of sort of terracotta, you know, and a flower bed. And it's flipping dodgy, and it's fast in places.
When you drove in with Mike Haley, your teammate, into Mallory Park, did you tell him about your episode with Rob Mack then?
Oh no, I didn't tell him that. Well, it was Rob Mack's idea,
that was one of my, obviously I went to Capo to watch my first BXB.
Yeah.
And then I'm stood at the top of the, after the airpin there, just watching over and watch the whole thing with you, obviously having a good attack at your teammate at the time, Rob Mack, and obviously taking him down.
There was mitigating circumstances. It's 1993. No, honestly. It's 1993. Me and Rob Mack are teammates. He's team manager and rider. We're on Fast Orange Yamahas. The man we were dicing for the championship when it came to the last few rounds was Jim Moody, and he's on a Norton, a Duckham's Norton. And I'd already won the championship the round before with about 3 rounds to go because I'd had a really good season. Rob Macker's Dyson was second in the championship. So he came to me. I'd won the first race at Mallory, quite easy. And he comes to me and says, look, you could probably win second race, but I need to beat Jim Moody. And Jim Moody's got a bit more pace than me this weekend. How do you feel about maybe trying to hold him up or doing something, maybe if I can have a go at him, you let me have a go at him, you finish third. And this plan wasn't even a plan, it was just a bunch of ideas in his head, right? So we didn't even have a proper plan, we went on track. So I followed Rob, and I was quite convinced I could go faster than Rob, but I'd let him have a go. Anyway, Jim Moody's in the front and he's pulling away slightly, so I thought, well, instead of finishing behind Rob and giving him 4 points, I'd be better beating Jim if I can and taking 5 points off Jim. That makes more sense to me. I got all level maths and everything. Right? So I just made that decision in Gerrard's. I thought, right, I'll pass Rob and I'll catch Jim. That's the plan, right? If I can't catch Jim, I'll drop back on the last lap and let Rob beat me. That's my plan. went under Robert the S's, and there's for anybody who's ever ridden around Malady, the S's, there's a pipe goes under, a drainage pipe, and there's a little bit of if you get right on the inside, there's a little bit of a sort of ripple. Hit the ripple, lost the front, scooped Rob in. Yeah, that's what he said as well at the time. So Rob's lying in a pile with a bike on top of him, flipping broken femur, and it was a bit of a mess. He's knocked out, and obviously I was totally uninjured. I just got up and walked off. I couldn't help him. I've no medical experience. You know, he's better with the professionals. But it turns out the worst of it all, he broke his leg, which ain't good. But it actually had an involuntary bowel movement as well. That's terrible, isn't it? Big lad as well, isn't it?
He's a big lad and he is full of it. So, obviously set off your career, I read reading about it last night actually, and 80cc was your first kind of...
125.
Oh, 125.
Yeah, I raced a 125 under. Then a local guy who had a local bike shop called Lee Brothers in Halifax, he built an 80 and he wanted me to race that. So I raced 80 125. Great little class. And still now, you know the 125 class has gone out of BSB. Breaks my heart. It's the last two-stroke class, it's the last proper racing class, and we've lost it. And nobody gives a shit. And I think, you know, the 125 class was cheap, it was doable. You crash one, and they don't get broken because there's no weight to them. So crash damage is minimal, lads learn how to set a proper bike up, they've got proper geometry. So yeah, I started on 125 and loved it.
Kind of, and obviously worked your way through the British Championship and straight onto the four strokes and doing obviously a great job and winning a lot of championships and stuff. Back in those days, great atmosphere, good camaraderie around the paddock, you know, a lot of good Scottish riders. Where have they all gone?
I don't know. Back in my day, which we're going back a long time now since my British Championship days, first time round. So you're going late 80s really, and it was all Scots, all the good lads were jocks, and it goes in kind of. Goes inside, I don't know why, whether it's something, I don't know, it's cyclic. Now, a lot of riders now that's going in World Championship, Northern English lads, like your Tom Sides, and there's quite a few of them. Them days, all the good British Championship men, your Morrisons, your Moody's, your Duffers, your McFarlanes, your Selvys, Simpsons, all jocks. And I don't know why that was. One thing I did know is if you were sat on a grid with a jock, right, you know he travelled a full day to get there. He won't give it up so easy. He invested 200 quid in diesel just to get to Thruxton. So he's going to be, you know, he's going to. They were always scrappers with Scottish lads. Still are actually. I still see some of them.
And coming through that kind of era with those guys, who's the toughest? Who's the toughest Scotsman that you race against?
Strangely enough, it depends whether that means if you're tough. If you're having a barroom brawl, you don't want to be fighting with Jim Moody. But on track, I would say Jim was probably a gentleman. Yeah, fair. I would say hardest rider on track of all the jocks, I would say probably Morrison. Morrison had some real fights with late 80s. He was on RC30, I was on Suzuki, Mick Grant's bikes, and he was an hard man, and he'd have a proper go at you. But Moody was a real tough lad, as in he'd flipping fight all day, but he was a gentleman on track with him.
And what kicked you into racing in the first place? Did your dad race, or was you?
No, my dad was
mates, friends, family.
Yeah, my dad always wanted to race. Always took me to Isle of Man. Always took me to see races. Went to stuff like remember Transatlantic Challenge, like mid '70s, like Oldham Park, Mallory Park. Went to all them, and then. When I was 16, my dad's best mate was a guy called Clifford Leach, who had a lad 2 years older than me called David Leach. And David, he ended up winning 6 or 17 Ts, really good rider with Dave. And he started club racing, and I went to watch him. And my dad just said, well, if you want to race, my dad liked the idea of a lad racing of it. So my dad bought me a little 125 and off I went. So I was lucky in that if I'd have loved to race and pay for it myself, but you'd have been 20 before you'd have got anywhere near the money to do it, so I was quite lucky.
And with your old fella being quite old school, you know, did you have to work out? What? Obviously you never had a proper job.
Yeah. My dad, he's dead now, bless him, but he was, he was nuts, that's what he was. He got ignored the bloke, so I had a few quid, but I remember I raced for 2 years in Honda, then it says I need an MBA. I want an MBA, which an MBA was an Italian twin-cylinder 125 that you need. If you're going to win, you need an MBA, right? So I comes home and says, I want an MBA. I need an MBA. I can win national races if I get an MBA. He says, right, okay, can we get one? Yeah. How much are they? I says, it's going to be £5 grand. This is going to brand new, even twice what that was, right? It was a lot of money. I said, it's going to be £5 grand. Didn't know whether they were going to eat me or what when I said that. He said, right, can we get one? I said, yeah, I know, I've seen one for sale. It's not too far away. A guy called Doug Flanders got it. It's a lovely bike. Right, I'll go get it. Okay. Where's the catch? But anyway, but he did that. But yeah, if you called at my house and he were making a cup of tea for me and my mates, he'd use one tea bag between 3 people. They'd be squeezing it out. So what's it? Get this. Get this. And my dad did so many funny stuff, not trying to be funny. My mum and dad got divorced in 1987, right? And my dad got married straight away to the woman he'd been seeing that caused the divorce, if you like. We were all happy with it. She was a lovely girl and she made my dad happy and we were all happy. I've got 3 sisters. We all went to a wedding and all that. And within a year she'd got a brain tumour and died. It was a really tragic scenario. So he's got the ashes, right? She's called Pam. He's got the ashes, and I don't know if you know it, but I was brought up on a little airfield, right, with aeroplanes about. A lot of my dad's mates were flying mates. They had little aeroplanes and helicopters. So my dad says, I've got to scatter, Pam's ashes on this particular field where she used to go as a kid with her mum and dad for picnics, right? Alright then. So instead of going over in his car and scattering it on his own, you know, saying a few words and having a bit of a cry, oh no. He gets his posh mate who's got a £2 million helicopter, right? You know where it's going, don't you? So we're in this helicopter. I'm sat in the back seat as a kid, holding onto this pot with Pam in it, right? We're on the helicopter, man, flying this helicopter. So we're over in all this field near Halifax, right? So my dad opens the door and he's got his foot on it like that. I hand him the pot, he takes the lid off, he goes, hi Pam, tips it out. Now, you would think that the air would go straight down after it's been filled with blades. Wrong, it goes round and round. And it all came back in. It's full of brown dust, right? Pam, basically. And helicopter pilots, you don't want to be disrespectful, he's going, fucking hell, David. I had to back it up when we got back. Couldn't speak ill of the dead, should you?
Now, obviously, coming through, getting into World Superbikes, factory Suzuki, and getting down to the World Championship, you had some good success on the Suzuki's, obviously a lot of podiums, and I think I remember watching on the side of the track that record of Brands yeah, spot on. Yeah. And then moved on to Grand Prix, should we say, on the Medinas. How different was that going from a World Superbike paddock, which is quite a friendly place? You know, I spent some time in there a little bit later on, but from a nice friendly place going to the GP side, back on the 2-strokes.
Yeah, no, paddock wasn't friendly. That's for a start. It was all right, but a bit more serious, and people kept themselves to themselves a little bit. The bike was, the rules were weird then. They were trying to get more people interested in the 500 class, so they had a set of rules where you could run a 4-cylinder 500cc 2-stroke that had a weight limit of 140 kilos at the time. But if you wanted to run a twin-cylinder 500, like Honda built, in V-twins, you were allowed to run 110 kilos minimum weight. Or a 3-cylinder 2-stroke could be 115 kilos. So what they were trying to do is make a class where the people could compete with different things. It never really worked that well. But the Medinas, the Kenny Roberts KR3 was 115 kilo, 165 brake horse 2-stroke. And therefore, for some people, including myself, it was reasonably dangerous as a bike. Because, contrary to popular belief, any one of you could get on a 500 4-cylinder V4 2-stroke and you could ride it to shops, no problem, not a problem. It's that last half second that hurts, that's all. And you get on when you think, well, Christ, they're a lot better than I thought. We were led to believe that they were unrideable, right? And these, like Schwantz, they were all circus performers, they were that skillful at staying on these bikes. And I got on one first and thought, it's easy, this is easy. But past 7:30 when you try and do it. And because it only weighed 115 kilos, when it went so much quicker than the superbike with 170 kilos. It just, sometimes the first thing you'll know about a crash is when it's already happened and you're not fixing it. And you're looking down at your bike and you're 10 foot above it. You know, so it was a rascal. But still, to be fair, even though I crashed it quite a bit and ended up hurting myself quite badly at Brno, I wouldn't miss that year. I'd still go back and do it again because I got to work with Kenny Roberts. And he is awesome. He's mad, completely mad, but awesome. It's Kenny Roberts. We used to have debriefs after each session. And you know, like, if Mick Grant's doing your debrief as a team manager, you can kind of argue with Mick, yeah, but these are different, Mick. You only had that much grip, and now if Kenny Roberts tells you you're shit in a certain corner because you've been out spotting, you don't argue with him. He's Kenny Roberts, isn't it? So you just go, all right, then, Kenny. But he was a good lad, he was.
I watched it loads on YouTube. You crash at Brno on the 500, which is a big fireball, and obviously quite a big injury. Was that one of those crashes? You know, you've had a lot, as I have, where you knew as soon as you hit the ground you was in a lot of trouble, or was it not as bad as that?
Yeah, it was a third gear right hand first lap, so lost the back, went up in the air, but I was going forward that direction, track went round like that. I'm going that way at about 80 miles an hour, but just like I was still sat on the bike, so I'm like that. But the bike's gone off that way. And when I landed in the seating position, there was a big crack, and I thought, ooh, I thought I'd done both femurs because I could feel a little bit of, pain. And when one of them where I knew it was it, so I didn't try and get up, I thought, right, I'll see what's wrong. Yeah, hand's alright, neck's alright, good. And I remember trying to move my feet. I thought, I'll move my feet first. Now when I looked at my feet and they weren't moving, but when my brain tried to make that foot move, or that foot, I felt pain in here. And I thought, oh dear. I've not a lot of medical experience, but I don't think it's good. And I broke my pelvis in a few places. And that was another. This is Czechoslovakia, not long after, it's only about 8 years after the wall came down, and this is still the flipping third world country, this. I mean, I ended up in intensive care, and I thought, because I was in quite a lot of pain, so I was blacking out, you're nearly blacking out, and I'm trying to fight it. I didn't want to black out, and I could feel my vision going in, and then I could fight it back, and my ex-missus was there, Andrea, who's seen quite a lot of crashes that involved me. And she's there at the side of me and saying, don't let me black out, keep me talking, do not let me go under. She goes, why? I said, what you don't have my fucking kidneys. I got it in the end, they were on the wrong with kidneys and organs. Why? But anyway, I'd got good insurance, so my missus rang the insurance. That was Sunday, I'd hurt myself. By Monday morning, there was an English registered aeroplane, an English doctor and nurse at Brno airport, and I was flying home. And I got plated up and everything fixed in Leeds in LGI. So I was quite lucky, really.
Is that the worst crash of your career, injury-wise?
Yeah, I reckon. Although saying that, I've only got one injury that actually stayed with me. The pelvis, I wouldn't know I broke. It's perfect, 100%. Although childbirth will be difficult apparently. It's a bit down. But there's this ankle, broke my ankle. Got a compound fracture of this ankle in Ulster Grand Prix in '89, and that. Although at the time it was a broken leg. But because it went across the joint, it's the only one now that actually I can feel it sometimes on cold days, But hey, it's talking to you, isn't it? You can't keep on playing too much, can you?
No, of course, your whole career is always kind of up and down, but you still obviously do a lot of riding. You've got your track days, your training school, should we say. You do a lot of mileage on the bikes, obviously a lot of commentating TV-wise. Especially, I guess, when you're doing your commentary stuff with Eurosport, with the BSB and other things. Are you still that competitive inside? I spoke to, for instance, Terry Reimer. Terry Reimer will get back on race tomorrow.
thing is about Terry. Terry feels that this is opportunity. You know what? I've just told you that I feel that I did probably the best I could. Terry doesn't. Terry feels he could have been World Superbike champion 20 times over. He looks at counting through all better than you. And I don't. So I can easily not ride a bike competitively. However, and you saw this, me and Steve were partners at the Goodwood Revival. And we had a good bike. Our bike was one of the best ones out there. And it became apparent straight away, as soon as we got on the bikes, and as soon as we were going to be somewhere near. And so once I thought, we could win this, we could actually win this. I never went there thinking that, but once I got there and rode the bike and saw you on it, and I did alright, I thought we could win this. And then you get that and that's quite a scary thing, that. And one of the reasons Fogarty will never do any classic racing is because he doesn't think he can be as quick as what he was. And he don't want to ruin the myth, he don't want to not be quick. Do you know what I mean? He's finished his career being quick and he don't want to be normal. And I'm not bothered about being normal, alright sometimes.
Have you been there?
I'm getting there.
No, there's so many guys like that, you know, especially like a Goodwood. You know, James Hayden was riding, he rode brilliant in the second race there, and but mate, he was so pumped, you could have lit a fag on his cheek.
One thing you've got to know about James Hayden is the man, he's another one. James, I love James, I work with him every weekend, and I really have got a soft spot for him. He's a lovely lad, good looking, hard working, good at what he does. But he thinks he has missed, he thinks he should have done better with his talent, that's what he thinks. And I've never known a man who can push himself to the limits on a motorbike that he won at Goodwood on the second day. We were racing with him on the first day. He never went any quicker than we were going, but he just wanted it badly. And he was quite prepared to hurt himself and others to win. And that's a weird place to be when you don't need to be. It's a bit, you know.
No, but there's so much of that, you know, with X-Racing.
So what happens at Goodwood is you do 8 laps apiece on a 16-lap race. So I came in and handed it over to Steve, and the Sunday he would have gone out before me, but he hurt himself because he got in an incident with Mike Edwards. But anyway, so I went out there, and there's me, McWilliams, Glenn Richards, Brogan and Aidan all going around at the front. I mean, and these bikes are slow, really. Yeah. They're only slow thing. It's a matchless, G50 matchless. So you've got, on the straights, you've got loads of time to mess about, really. And our bike was quick. So my bike's a little bit quicker than Aidan's. Bear in mind, I work with him every single weekend, James. I know him really well. And every time we're on the straight, I'm getting level with him. And the first time I went, and he looked at me and went, you won't look at me. So second lap, and it same again and went, like this, he got, and he won't look at me. I thought, ooh, James is having a serious day. He's deadly serious.
No, brilliant.
Can you imagine his bedroom? Right, look, this is going to be a world championship effort. It's going to get nasty.
He did that last year, he just had another kid.
He did. Yeah. I'll tell you what's best of that. The loveliest man. This man is an example of how you don't have to be a bastard to be good. Sylvain Guintoli is the loveliest, most gentlemanly man in the paddock. He's just lovely. And his missus is English, very, very nice English lady, right? Caroline. And I was stood with Caroline out there working, but we're watching the race. I don't know why. No, we're after the race. We commentated on it. We're in the Parc Ferme, and he's had a win, right? This is on the Aprilia last year. And he's had a win. And she goes, no. I goes, what? Are you happy with him, We might have to have another kid. I don't know what kind of post-race celebration that is, but...
So, obviously throughout your career you've had an awful lot, same with me, you've had a lot of teammates, a lot of big names, and sometimes you've been as in #1 rider, sometimes #2. Who's been the hardest to work with?
Hardest to work with?
As a teammate, of course.
As a teammate, probably one of the nicest blokes actually, a bloke called Peter Goddard. Peter was a lovely bloke, but just one of these, analyse everything. He would be flipping, he'd be in his leathers, right, at 10 o'clock at night after a practice session, just because he was still measuring things, and he had he had spirit levels and angular things and just unbelievable.
I've been there and seen all that.
Unbelievable. I mean, race day, I'd always beat him generally, but Christ, he didn't think about things that much. I mean, he was a thinker. So he was hard work to be a teammate because the debriefs, all I had to do was sit down and say, right, I've got a bit of chatter, and he's this doing, that doing. My debriefs would take 10 minutes. But I was expected to stay until he finished debriefing, which was a week later. You know, I could have died of flipping starvation. I was malnourished at the end of that year. Stop talking.
In 2000, I finished on the Super Sport and just moved up to Superbike for BSB on the Kawasaki's, factory Kawasaki's, good bit of kit. And Bookmaster was running the team. He said, right, I've got this local peak. Oh, right, I've heard of it.
League work with Suzuki.
So anyway, so we go to Albacete for a big, long 3-4 day test. Mate, footrest, no, a millimetre higher. I'm happy at mine straight.
I'm going straight back to 1998 now. Get this, we had several Japanese technicians, right, with clipboards and computers, and Japanese, they are freakishly technical, right, as you can imagine, these are all technicians, these are the guys who designed the motorbike, right, even they were going, is Peter San still talking? So Peter was hard as a teammate because he was so technical. Best teammate probably, I love working with Mackenzie. Mackenzie was fiercely competitive on track to be your best mate off it. You can't get a teammate. Lovely, good family, good kids. These kids are now racing, as you know, but they were just little snappers at the time and just nice.
Who was the worst? Who was the arsehole?
Do you know what? I didn't have any because it's in your interest to get on with your teammate. You can do, and I just made a real effort not to get on with him, if you know what I mean. There was some I didn't want to talk to. I tell you what, hard working though, and again a lovely lad, but very passionate, which made him difficult. Was Paolo Cazzola. My years on the Valgarda Supersport bike. It was an Italian team with an Italian rider called Paolo Cazzola, ex-1 2-5 world champ. And he would throw stuff about the garage. If it was half a second off the pace, if he didn't qualify front row, done, finished, head dropped off and rolled out the garage. I qualified 4th row regularly, thought, yeah, be alright, make a good start with him. And he just never, we used to go testing, and if he wasn't right on the lap record, we went to Valencia once, pre-season, February. We did 3 days of testing. I got to within half a second of lap record, Supersport record. Cazzola was half a second quicker, he was a tenth of a second off. It was right bang on it, right? The grip levels, you can never go on practice times. A week makes a big difference at Valencia. It's up and down grip levels. You can make a second difference just on grip levels, 1 week to next. And temperature. I was quite happy half a second away from lap record. I'll do me, I'll go a bit quicker and come next weekend, you know. We had this deal with, we must come back midweek. Why? Because we must try the new forks, and I need to. And because he won under that record, he was panicking. And after he finished his flipping big talking, I said to the team manager, Mayo Merigali, who's now Rossi's team manager, is Mayo. I said, for what it's worth, I'm quite happy. I'm all right to go home and come back for race weekend. He says, we never worry about you. That's what he said. He says English people tend not to complain that much. Just get on with it. And especially Supersport. Superbike and World and MotoGP, yeah, take the time to sort your bike out. Them days of Supersport, not what you can do. Just get on and ride them.
And Cazzola, did he had a big injury, bang on the head?
He smacked himself about a week after that. At the same track, because he wanted to do, we came back. This is the ironic part. He badgered him to come back. I didn't want to come back, but he made me. The week later, they rented the track again, just us, complete private test, and then coming out Valencia, start and finish, turn 1, big fast left-hander, hairpin, left-hand hairpin, first gear, then second, third, fourth, left-hand kink, and he's lost the back there. Bang, bang his head, done for a bit. He's back now. We took him 3 years and he had to learn to walk again and all that kind of thing, yeah. And he's a better person now. He's not as nasty.
Ladies and gents, have we got any questions? From anybody? Yes, young man.
It's $4,000 if you want it.
Probably in conjunction with everybody else, enjoy your commentaries tremendously with Jack.
Thank you.
Are you going to carry on with that?
Strangely enough, just last night I got an email through from Eurosport. They're typically really slack in Eurosport. You never get much of a contract through. You just get a kind of handshake and, oh yeah, we'll see you, first round. I've got a letter of intent thing through, so yeah, same again for me. It'll be me and Jack doing all the World Superbikes, don't clash with BSB, and all the BSB. So and Hayden again, and the Silver Fox, Matt Roberts, who'll be presenting and all that.
That's good news, great.
Thank you. I bet he's thinking forwards.
Earplugs. Any more?
What do you think of the idea of splitting World Superbike between Saturday and Sunday?
Yeah, weird one. I don't know. Good question. The man's on point actually. They're changing the system a little bit, the way it works. Superbikes now are going to do all the practice Friday, Saturday morning. They're going to have the first leg of the two-legger on Saturday and the second leg on Sunday. And also, World Supersport, there's lots of rules changes. Technically, they're doing them down, so they're going to be easy to build a Supersport bike now. And Supersport are going to have one lap, I'm told, one lap Super Pole qualifying. So it's changed a lot. And I don't know why they've done that, to be honest. Obviously, it's to try and get more people through the door on Saturday and maybe spread it more over a weekend, but
I don't think it'll work.
I don't think it will. I think the 2-4 mile on Sunday works. It'll work if you crash in leg one, it means you've got all night to rebuild your bike, which was, if you slid off in leg one and a normal World Superbike down, there was a big panic. I mean, my day, we had spare bikes, just wheel number 2 bike out. But in the last few years, it's been single bike rules, so they've been swapping engines, and so it'll make it easier that way.
But it's to get extra spectators there, and I don't think that'll work.
I think it will. World Superbike now is about trying to address the problem that nobody's going to watch it, right? Crowds are rubbish, both on television, numbers, no numbers, and at the circuits, no numbers. BSB are getting 3 times what they get at World Superbikes typically. So they're trying to address that, whether it'll work or not. I mean, there's little things that are good about next year. We've got Nicky Hayden back, we've got Yamaha back with a full factory team. So we've got things to be pleased about. But I don't think the Saturday Sunday formats we'll see, won't we? Exactly. Man said if they're not coming for 1 day, they're not going to come through, and I agree with that. However, the good news on the 2-day format is I get an extra day's pay. How do you think shaky on how will shaky? Oh, the question was how will shaky go on Bernie's Ducati? I think good. I think Shaky's ridden Ducatis before, well he has ridden Ducatis before. The Panigale is a different kettle of fish to the previous long stroke Ducatis. The Panigale works more like a 4-cylinder because it's really short stroke, really big piston, everything's nuts off. So the engine characteristics are a lot more like a 4 than like the old mid-range torque long stroke Ducatis. But Shaky's no bull, and he's going to be able to ride it, and he's going to be able to be up front. I think probably the man to beat, if he can get his head round racing around the quirky British circuits again, it's going to be Leon Haslam. I still think Leon's pretty quick. I still think Leon will be one of the men to beat. But Shaky won't be far away.
I think with Shaky, I think the 2 guys, in my opinion, in the British Championship the last few years that will ride around problems and go fast, and what the issue is and still go on the podium is Josh Brooks and Shaky.
Yeah.
And for sure, obviously Josh is gone. For sure, Shaky will be the man week in, week out.
Yeah. Did we watch the Marquez Rossi incident? What do we think? Rossi? Hey! Marquez? Ooh! He's the bad bloke. And to me, right, Rossi ran him wide. Yeah, that's not good, is it? But Marquez crashed himself. He leant back on him. Is that not right? I'm a bit partisan, me, by the way. Having said that, even if you'd allowed Rossi to start from the front row of Valencia, he would have won championship. He doesn't like Valencia. But Rossi never done well there. So.
Another question. Butch, obviously you spent a lot of time with this man on a working ethic and various races and championships. What was he really like to work with? Good or bad? Nice or an arsehole?
Good to work with. We had a lot of laughs and one thing and another, but lapsadics sometimes, especially when testing at Mallory at the beginning of the year, takes his lens off and his coat kind of falls out.
Yeah, did a full day's testing with a wooden coat on and get stuck down back there. I thought they were uncomfy bastards, these.
Put on his another set of shoulders.
Butch was a... I used to have shoulders, I broke my collarbone, I bought 5 collarbones, 3 one side and 2 other, and every time you do it, it kind of cross over, so you get kind of... I'm more like a Sarson's vinegar ball now with my shirt off. Butch, I've just got to explain, Butch is a guy who was from my local town. He was brought up about 2 miles from where I was brought up. He raced bikes at decent club level, club race winner, and his career was just ending as mine sort of took off, and he decided he'd come and help me, and then he turned into being a mechanic, and then as I got a factory ride, he became a factory mechanic and just came through the old way with me and went off to work for John Reynolds and other people. So yeah, and now he lives in Lincolnshire. He's almost given up on life, if you ask me.
What you're saying is you made him the man he is.
I suppose I am.
Any more questions for James, please?
Have you ever thought of running your own team with the experience you've got?
The question was, have you ever thought of running your own team? In a lot of ways, I'd love to run my own team, and I honestly think I love my racing enough to be to want to be involved and to be passionate about it. But to me, it's unbelievably hard work to be a good team manager. You can't half do. It's even worse than being a rider. Being a top rider, you need commitment, and if you're not committed, forget it. You need to let somebody else do it. And being a team manager is almost the same, except more hard work, more graft and more hours. And I speak to people like Meregali, who went from being my teammate to being my team manager. Rob Mack went from being my teammate to being my team manager. Mick Grant was a good mate and then became my team manager. The good ones, unbelievably hard working. And I'm sure you'll fit in because you're a grafter, but I'm not saying I'm work shy, but I'm not sure I want to spend time in my garage and watching my kid race a horse and jump whatever she does, I don't know, I pay for it, but I don't even know what it is. But anyway, I know she's 13 and she got an horse that cost 25 grand. How does that work? It's a shitting eating thing, that's all it is to me. Do you know what as well? I go and I drive the horse box. My ex-wife drives it most of the time, but sometimes when my ex-wife's working, I drive this big wagon and we've got 2 horses in there and the kids have done everything. And I get there, and meeting for me used to be racing my motorbike, working on my bike, nearly down in your leathers. An horse meeting with my kid competing is I get to drive a truck, hold things and get shouted at. That's it. Mostly get shouted at. Dad, wait a Dad, get up! I come home beaten man. And it's cost me a fortune. But anyway, no, the team manager bit, if you're a good one, it's changed a bit now. Because when Foggy ran his team, Foggy just employed people. Foggy said, oh, yeah, I want a coordinator, a manager. So Foggy just turned up, watched it and went, no, but I'd never be in that position. You know, I've been a team manager who were booking the flights, drumming around and, Tommy Hill, hard-working lad. And it hasn't worked for him yet, and it might not work for him. I hope it does. But it's an hard place to be at.
One more question, please.
James, I can remember back in 89 time, I used to span a ride called Paul Brooks.
Oh, no, Paul.
British Supersport champion,
Yeah.
89. Granted, put his arm around me one day and said, come with me, I've got a bike, you can't lose on. And it was your RGB 250.
Yeah.
That was very trick, and I still watched the race.
Yeah, up back in Foggy, yeah.
Yeah, can you tell me about that bike, please? I've got
Yeah,
a quick one on that far.
Yeah, RGB in the classes at the time were, I think it was called Super Sport 400 or Junior Stock or something. You could run a 4-cylinder 4-stroke 400 or a 250 2-stroke, and they were very evenly matched. Like an FZR 400 was let's say Steve Ives ran, or Foggy ran the little 400 V4 Honda, was almost identical speed-wise to a 250 2-stroke like a KR1S or RGB. And so Granny decided we'd have these RGBs, and I would say if we had been allowed to run all the factory parts that were eligible in Japan Championship had the class for these road bikes, but you can run everything. Pistons, exhaust, carburetors, everything. In Britain, we're only allowed to run within the rules about half of that. And our biggest problem was, we had to run road fuel, we couldn't run avgas. So if we could have run race fuel or outgas, that bike would have been the fastest thing on track and very reliable. But on the road fuel, it was a compromise between having enough power to win, and Butch would tell you more about this. But we had to run road fuel, which meant it detonated a lot. So we were always running a bike that wasn't finished because we weren't allowed to finish it off properly. But even then, it was a good bike, and I was able to win on it a couple of times. And
Hold on a minute, you've just been telling us that you didn't want to be one of those riders sat in the corner and said, if I'd have had this and I'd have had that.
you fucking asked. When I'm sat in the pub, I ain't going to flipping get anybody asking me. But it was a brilliant bike, and if we could have run all the parts, we could have made that into a proper open class racing bike. I'm fairly sure coming up. It was good running.
In '89 we brought the SP bike over, which we ran with, the SP RGV, what we ran at the TT, which were eligible because it was the international rules at the TT, and we won the TT in '89 and '91 on the 250 because it was just a special bike and it was just unbelievable, but they were just boxed up and went back to Japan.
When the kits came, how bad's this, right? It broke my heart that we got these kits, proper nice, brand new kits from Japan to make these RGBs into a race bike. And there was dry clutches, proper cylinders, proper exhaust, proper ignitions. You couldn't run after it. That broke my heart. And it must have brought Mick Grant's heart, because he did cheat slightly sometimes. Allegedly.
There's two ways to read a set of rules.
Mick Grant's glasses used to see the rule book differently. Right? But he sailed close to winning Mick, and he must have brought Mick's heart, because we knew we had a bike that could win every weekend, but we were not allowed to run the Micks. But nobody else were allowed to run them either, so it was fair. But a good little bike. Have you got RGBs? Good, nice little things, and they're going up in value then. I'll make you a bid.
Ladies and gents, please put your hands together for James. Okay, thanks very much. Thanks for listening. If you'd like anything signed in a short exchange, just hang around for a few minutes. Thank you.